Welcome to episode 4 of A Beginner's Guide to Hinduism. In this, I discuss the spirit of Hinduism, its central beliefs that have endured over thousands of years. Thanks for tuning into the Vedanta channel, in which I present ideas from Hinduism, the world's oldest religion, and Vedanta, the spiritual heart of Hinduism. 3 principles have guided Hinduism and its evolution over millennia: Oneness, Universalism, and Dharma. The Veda is filled with exquisite poetry which speak to a oneness in creation. Few songs exemplify the sentiment better than this famous verse from the Rig Veda. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. Truth is one, the wise know it by many names. Truth is one, the wise know it by many names. When this was sung, nobody knows. It is likely 8,000 years old, maybe 9,000. Even older, who knows? But it rings as fresh today as the day it was sung. Even fresher, I might say. It was sung at a time when the world had not been drowned in blood yet. Men did not murder men then in the name of God. These songs have traveled over thousands of years. They come to us filled with the same joy with which they were sung. They stimulate the best in us. They breathe life into us. They remind us that all the people, regardless of what you call them, Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, Muslim, Jew, or Christian, we all worship the same truth. There is no better example of this attitude than that of Hinduism towards the Buddha. When Gautama Buddha arrived in ancient India, there was already a battle underway. The Vedic tradition was under severe attack from the materialists. They were called the Charvakas. They were the rationalists and materialists of their day, kind of like the scientists and atheists of today. They would stand in public squares and mock the Veda. The materialists believed that the Vedic rituals were hocus pocus. They said life is nothing but a big fat random event. There is no ulterior meaning to anything. Live life large and make merry. They were hedonists. On the other hand, the orthodox Vedic priests had lost the plot too. They reveled in rituals which became more and more complicated by the day. Both of these groups had lost sight of the most essential aspect of the human condition, that it is filled with suffering. No ritual or entertainment can take away a man's grief. It cannot fill the emptiness in our lives. It is at this time the Sakya Muni arrives. The first words that the Buddha is supposed to have said after he attained nirvana are remarkable. He said, Sarvam Dukkham. Sarvam Dukkham. The world is filled with suffering. Gautama finds that the Vedic religions had gone off track. He also saw the hollowness of the materialist approach. So he picked his own way, a middle path. He traveled the length and breadth of the country. He spoke to the people about their suffering, and he came to be known as the Buddha. There are 3 points to this story. First, it is the story of how the Buddha saved India from falling prey to materialism. He kept its soul intact. Second, by challenging the Hindu rituals, the Buddha saved Hinduism from its own priests. This is why we Hindus revere him as an avatar of Mahavishnu. There is a third point. The tussle between the Buddha and Vedic Hinduism is a perfect example of how Indian philosophers treated challengers and rivals. This is not something we see in other parts of the world. In matters of belief, the ancient Indians were quite open to new ideas. If a new idea came along and was seen to be clearly better, the older school would simply accept it as its own. It would then declare itself to be compatible with the newer way. So, instead of vilifying the Buddha, the people of his day, many of whom were Hindus, revered him as a great teacher. Of course, the Hindu schools of philosophy challenged some of his ideas and even rejected them. Where they were better, Hinduism made them part of its own thinking. It is interesting to compare the two great prophets, the Buddha and Jesus Christ, who were born around 600 years apart in different parts of the world. One was branded a traitor and charlatan and crucified. The other was accepted as a guru. There is a great lesson in this for those of us in the modern world. We must not fear new ideas or foreign religions. If they are indeed better, we won't be able to stop them from winning. In fact, we should adopt their ideas if they are better, so we can compete with them. If their ideas are not better, then we have nothing to worry about. To their credit, the ancient Hindus have always been more interested in the truth of ideas than anything else. They have always tried to use new ideas in their religious aspirations. They have never cared about who said it first or who is authorized to say it. Instead, they have always asked, is it true? What can I get out of it in my pursuit of salvation? This has always been the quintessential Hindu ideal. There is a principle of Vedantic Universalism which lies at the heart of Hinduism. This idea stems from the Oneness principle, that the world is nothing but a reflection of a blissful infinity called Brahman. Although we see many, there is only the one great spirit. You, me, God, this world, we are not separate things. We are the same thing. They didn't say these things back in the day because it was cool or fashionable to say so. They put a lot of thought into it. There are very convincing lines of reasoning behind these statements. While that is a topic for a different day, for now we can ask, so what? What does it mean to be one with the world? And the answer is, it leads to heightened empathy. When you are me and I am you, how can I wish ill upon you? When you and I are reflections of the same truth, how can your God be different than mine? When the same consciousness runs through you and me, how can I pray for just myself? The Hindu way is not to pray for just our own welfare. Myself, my country, my family are all fine things to pray for. But the Hindu spirit has always been to seek the welfare of all things in all of creation. There is a beautiful mantra, Shanti mantra, in the Upanishad, which goes, may there be well-being to the people. May the kings rule the earth along the right path. May the cattle and the teachers of wisdom have well-being forever. May all the beings in all the worlds be blessed. Om, peace, peace, peace. The Veda teaches us to be unselfish. Every ritual involves saying, idham na mama, this is not mine, after an offering. Hindu spirituality is not a private affair. Sure, it starts with the seeking of personal liberation, but it ends with the seeking of the well-being of the world and serving it well. Renouncing the world does not mean abandoning it. Austerity must not lead to cold disdain. Rituals are not merely for our own gain. Devotion to God does not mean a lack of empathy for the fellow man. As much as I may love Narayana, I simply cannot force my belief on you. Knowledge of the self must ultimately transform itself into service to the world. What is it that we ultimately worship as God? It is truth. God is Satyam. What we find is, the closer we get to the truth, the more we see it as one.
Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sita Ram. Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sita Ram. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, bhaj pyare tu Sita Ram. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, bhaj pyare tu Sita Ram. Ishwar Allah tere naam सबको सन्मति दे भगवान. ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान. रघुपति राघव
Dharma is a multi-layered and yet simple ideal. However, it is a word that is not easy to translate. Swami Chinmayananda said, in the progress of Indian philosophical thought, the word dharma has acquired such a comprehensive and complex significance that it is almost impossible to define or articulate it in any other language. End of quote. A description of dharma is the law of being, the essence of a thing, without which it cannot remain itself, is its dharma. For example, the sweetness of sugar is the dharma of sugar. Similarly, wetness of water, and so on. Dharma can also be described as the law of right living. The goal of right living is happiness in life and liberation from suffering. In general, dharma stands for those goals, means, ends, and ways of conduct, and everything else that goes into shaping the character of a person. The Mahabharata says that which sustains is dharma. No one can ever violate the principles of dharma and hope to avoid disaster. This is the Hindu belief. There are 3 levels of dharma. At the cosmic level, we call it Sanatana Dharma, eternal laws that apply to all of creation. We call it Shruti in Hinduism. The Veda is considered Shruti. At the level of a society, Dharma is the set of values to be upheld by society. This is called Smriti. For example, Manusmriti, which is a part of Dharma Shastra, provides the basis for Hindu ethics. We also look to epics such as the Ramayana and the Mahabharata for worldly wisdom. These values tend to change with time. They change with where we are in the world and what's going on in it. While the scriptures prescribe some very sound lessons, they are from a different era, and we have the responsibility to apply them thoughtfully in today's day and age. At the individual level, a person's own dharma is dictated by what stage in life he or she is in, their personality, and is influenced by their latent tendencies. This is called Varnashrama Dharma or Swadharma. The Upanishad does not concern itself with morals and ethics. The ideal described in the Upanishad is Atman or self-realization. It is in this overarching goal that the Dharma of Hinduism is rooted. The body and the mind say, me first. But Dharma reminds us, it is not about you. It is about seeing the self in others. This is not to say that Hindu scriptures are unconcerned with good and bad. Morals are no doubt important, but they are viewed as transactional or relative truths, not absolute truths. Let us think about it for a minute. For some strange reason, the world contains things other than us. If it was just me in creation, there would be no need for morals. So, morals and ethics are only methods we use to navigate the plurality we experience. To the person who sees oneness, they cease to apply. The Upanishad gently points out that no matter what our morals are, they must be such that they help us towards self-realization. If you are not aware of your own nature, how can you hope to be morally good and serve the world? It is on the superstructure of Sanatana Dharma that the ethics of Hinduism stand. They do not stand by themselves. They cannot stand by themselves. Ethics is not the end goal. It is only a means to an end. Unfortunately, a lot of us go through life without any philosophy at all. We tell ourselves, why should I be philosophical? I would much rather be practical. They say, if a man with philosophy makes 1,000 mistakes, the man without one makes 10,000. Therefore, there is a lot of value in philosophy. All of us need a North Star, even the smartest and strongest ones. This is the grand goal of Sanatana Dharma, this unwavering pursuit of oneness. It teaches us that all our misery comes from an illusion of separation, an illusion of separation between man and man, between nation and nation, between earth and sky, and between me and you. Out of this idea of separation between atom and atom comes all misery. But he who sees that which lies beyond nature, he alone crosses death. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, do consider subscribing to the Vedanta channel and sharing it with others like you who may be interested.